Welcome everyone to episode 68 of the Phoenix Report. I am Jack Connor, and once again I figured it was time to bring in one of the guys from the band, from Vertebreaker. I met this guy about a year ago when I was putting together the new lineup. He's been with us since, I want to say, September of 2019. I remember, and we'll tell the story of how we met in a little bit, but I'd found this guy, and we had talked at one point. And originally he wasn't able to do it. A couple months go by, and then he gives me a call, and he was available. And by the time we got together, I could just tell this was the right guy. And not only does he play with me in Vertebreaker, but he also plays with me in my other band, Mature Musical Pictures. And on top of that, has just recently started playing with our friend Regis Lima in his band VOXX. I know they had talked about working together, doing some work in the studio, maybe some live stuff. Yes, but he'll tell you all about it, and I'm really excited to get this guy on the podcast. He's originally from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Lives here in Orlando, and he's been out here for a little while. So please welcome Felipe Gardina.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Jack, for having me.
Yeah, man. It's glad to finally have you on. I know I mentioned originally that we had met. We had met through a website called Bandmix, which it's just sort of like a networking site for musicians in the area. I had found some of your stuff on there. You had a few demos, and we got to talking. And originally I think you were just too busy with your job or something. You sounded like you were interested. What was actually going on in the beginning? Because I know we eventually did circle back around.
Yeah, so it's funny. I was telling this to my coworkers today. I was talking about exactly that. Since I moved to the United States, I've been working so much to be able to make a living and to pay for my school and everything. I don't want to get into any loans in it or anything. So I have been working hard since I got here. So. And I remember, like, when I got here, I was so focused on school that I hardly have time to have bands. And I even had a band before, like in 2014, 2015. I had a band with these guys. They're called Free to Be. Mm-hmm. You can find their stuff online. And it was great. I mean, I had the band for 8 months. But I had to leave the band for the same reason, like because of rehearsals and concerts, I couldn't work as much, and that was taking a toll in my pocket.
Yeah.
Especially because I am the main provider for my own stuff. So very heartbreakingly, I had to leave the band, and it was so sad because I loved playing with them, and I'm still friends with them and everything. So since then, I've been like out of the stages, only playing stuff for school, and I feel very aware of that because my life since I was 14, has been on stage, having bands, playing out, making music, and when I got to the United States, that I had to stop playing bands because I needed to have more time to work and to focus in school. That was kind of hard for me, like being without bands, being without playing, it's very hard for me because that's not me. So,
sure.
So I had this job up until last year, what I was working over 50 hours a week. So it was crazy, especially on weekends and holidays. I got the worst shifts. So I was always working like 3 to 11, sometimes 3 to 2 a.m., and working weekends, working nights. So whenever you send me a message, I was so glad that someone reached out to me to make music because it was a while since I had someone offering me something like that. And I felt bad. I feel like, oh my God, I cannot even accept this. I cannot even try to accept this because I won't be able to attend, to the rehearsals.
Yeah.
Exactly. If eventually we got concerts and stuff, nobody will do concerts in 12 p.m., on Saturday. So, and what frustrated me the most was when I listened to the songs. because I got hooked, man. I got hooked.
Thank you,
Like
man.
Vertebreaker got me. Like I was like listening to it in my car, and I was like, Jesus, this is so good. I want to be able to play this, you know?
Oh, thanks, dude.
Yeah, no problem, man. I already told you this. I'm a fan first, you know?
Sure.
and then some stuff happened in the job, and I ended up leaving the company. One of the first things when they told me that I was gonna be let go was like, yeah, now I'll be able to do music, you know, and I'll try to find a job if eventually when I go back to work, I'll find a job that I don't have to work as much, or at least that I work in different hours, you know. And I was able to manage to do that. So I remember texting you and saying, hey, listen, you guys still have the spot open because I'm willing to work on this, you know. And you told me, yeah, but how different it's gonna be if you eventually find another job.
Right. Yeah.
And I told you, well, I'll try to manage it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So,
I guess it all depends on the job, of course. But I mean, but in addition to working, you're also going to school here, correct? You're going to Rollins, I think, and you're studying music theory. Is that right?
yeah, I'm studying music.
That's kind of an interesting way to go about it. Were you thinking about becoming a music teacher?
So my relationship with music since the beginning, since I started playing, was I always liked to perform and to write music. So anything that I would do other than that would be to provide for me.
Sure.
So I like composing and playing. So I got into music performance. I got my AA from Valencia College in music performance. Now in Rollins, I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna be pursuing composition or performance. Probably I would do composition because it's less demanding of practicing and everything. So, and since I want to do a lot of stuff, composing, it's more the line of work I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can get jobs in composing music, that's my main goal.
That'd be amazing, like doing like film scoring and things like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I know in addition to playing guitar, I know you also play violin as well.
Yes.
Probably a little piano and keyboard too.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Piano, my piano abilities are very basic,
Yeah.
very, very basic. Just I know where to find the notes, I know how to do scales, and that's it.
Yeah, well, I know that's something they make all the music majors do.
Exactly. But it's not something I'm very skillful. Violin is another instrument that's very secondary. I love violin, but it's so freaking hard. You have to commit to violin like you commit to just doing that. You know, you cannot be a violinist and be very good in another instrument unless you have another life, unless you don't sleep.
Right. Yeah, I hear you.
So I love violin, but unfortunately I cannot play as well as I do the guitar.
I know what you mean. I used to play cello as a kid, and I have no idea.
Wow.
I had no idea if I could do that now. Necessarily.
Okay.
It's been over 20 years, but it's but yeah, that is cool, and the fact that you're doing that, and still like pursuing a career in it as well, in addition to working and playing in original bands. But yeah, I feel like we clicked right away when when we first met. I felt, and once you got in the room and started jamming with us, I think we were all like, yeah, this is the guy.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, and we clicked right away personally, I think. I know even before we met, you talked about doing some touring here in the States with a country artist.
Yeah, I did. It wasn't a country. It was the Free to Be band that I played.
Oh, that was Free to Be. Oh, okay.
Yeah. We didn't do like a tour. It was more of we traveled to Georgia and played in a couple of places.
Gotcha.
That was the closest to tour that I ever did.
Gotcha, because I do remember you telling me about that. I didn't know if that was the same band.
Sure. No, yeah, it's the same. What you probably remember as country, it's because their music's you can you can get a little country out of it.
Okay. Yeah. I know you said obviously music has been a big part of your life. How old were you when you started playing?
So I started playing when I was 12, but actually, like, it took me a while to really start learning it and start playing it because when I was 9, 10, about 9, 10, I discovered rock and roll, and I was like, dude, I was crazy about it. You know, I listened to music, like to bands like my father had a lot of albums of old 60s songs, old 60 rocks and stuff like that. He had that. He had a Stephen Wolf album.
Okay, yeah, Born to Be Wild.
Yeah.
Magic Carpet Ride.
Pretty much, yeah. They had like my father had very old bands like that, and I remember listening to the guitar sound, and I was hooked.
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah, I want to do this, you know. So I was in love with rock music. So, but I didn't know at first what I wanted to play because I loved the guitar, but at the same time I wanted to play the drums, I wanted to play the bass. Anything for me at the time was rock, so I want to do that, you know. So I remember when I was about that age, 10, 9, 10, I used to go to music instruments stores just to look at instruments. I used to fall in love by musical instruments. So, but I remember the first time I listened to Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton, I was about 11 years old, and then I said, yeah, that's the instrument I want to play. You know, I want to play like that guy. And I remember my father talked to my family about it, that I wanted to play the guitar and stuff. But at the time, was really expensive to buy an electric guitar.
Sure.
Back in my city, we didn't have musical instruments stores.
Right.
So anything like with instruments we had to go to downtown Sao Paulo, for an example.
Oh, okay.
So everything was so expensive, and my parents didn't know that there were cheap brands or anything like that. I mean, I didn't know either, you know, like. Whenever you see a guitar, you think like, oh my God, that's over $1,000. You don't even know, you know.
Sure.
Because it's something so far from your reality. So, my uncle had an old nylon guitar in his house, and he gave it to me. So I started learning by myself, trying to learn, and it was so hard because I had no idea, no guidance at all. I didn't even know how to tune the guitar. So when I was 13, I met this guy that's one of my best friends in Brazil. His name is Danilo Almeida. He's by far one of the best drummers I ever played with in my life. He used to play in some churches, and he learned to play the guitar and the drums in the church. So he taught me how to play the guitar. And awesome. Eventually we formed bands and everything. So, and he's still one of my best friends back in Brazil. And so I can say that the first time I ever started learning to play an instrument, I was 13, but I already had the guitar for a while, but I didn't succeed by myself.
No.
Until I met him.
That's cool. And you and I have talked about this a lot, certainly since you've been in the band, and how I've always been fascinated about how Brazil has been such a destination for rock music, and how rabid the fan base has been out there. And it always blows my mind that when it comes to, these certain parts of the world, even if there's a language barrier, that there's something about it that still connects to people, no matter where they're from. And that's one of the things I love about music in general, but especially about rock music, is that it can appeal to so many people across the world, no matter what language they speak, no matter where they're from. There's something in it for everybody. And you look at big festivals like Rock in Rio, for example, and how Sao Paulo is such a big destination for bands as well.
Yeah,
it does make me happy, with you being in the band. If we ever got in a position to play in Brazil, we could officially say that we are a Brazilian band because you are in it.
Definitely. And it's funny because in Brazil, I would say that 70% or maybe more, 80% of people there don't understand any English.
Right.
You know, so you can say that rock music or any music appeals to people even if they even if they cannot connect with the lyrics. You know, it's the music part is a big thing. You know, for me, like I didn't learn English until I moved up here when I was 23. So I was already enjoying rock and roll without even knowing what the lyrics meant. You know.
Sure, I'll bet. And you said you still played in bands, when you were a kid, when you were a teenager, still did that for years. But yeah, I know you moved here to the States, here to Orlando. What made you decide to make the move? I mean, especially to another country, and what led to that decision?
So whenever I think about this, every time I have a different reason to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because how things change in our lives. And I remember at the time I didn't even know if I wanted to be here for good. Like my brother was already living here. My brother moved up here in 2004. He used to know a lot about the United States. For some reason, he always liked the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he was a kid, in 2001, he went to New York with my grandma. My grandma used to have a sister that used to live up there, close to New York. So they went there. My brother fell in love by New York. He went to the Twin Towers at the time. You know, it was in July. He went there like July 21. 2001.
Oh boy,
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has pictures inside one of the towers because they had like a kind of a museum in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, see, in 2004 he came to United States to move up here. And so every year he will go to Brazil on vacation and tell us to go there to come here as well because he wanted to have his family close to him.
Sure.
But when I never thought about it because back in Brazil I had my bands, I had my friends, you know, like I had a comfortable life, you know. I was never rich or anything like that, but because I had the friends, you know, when you're a teenager, it's very important that you have friends.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had that, so I had bands, so my social life was pretty good.
Yeah, your whole life was there, so.
Yeah. So in 2012, around 2012, I started like trying to imagine how it would be if I could learn English, you know, try a different experience. So I started saving money. I didn't even know what I wanted to do, like if I wanted to come here and study English and go back, or if I want to come here, study English and go to somewhere else. So I started only saving money. I sold all my stuff. In 2013, I got my visa and I came here. But when I moved up here, I start seeing how things are in the United States. And, you know, if you compare it to Brazil, it's very different. And I was like, yeah, this can be a nice place to stay, you know. So I started working, started studying. Eventually, I learned English in 9 months. Around 9 months, I got to learn how to speak. And then I remember I was walking in Valencia College because I study English there. They have an intensive English program there that's very good. And I was walking in the campus and I saw that they had like an art program there. So I went and spoke to the advisor then, and he told me like, oh yeah, you should talk to Dr. Troy Gifford in the East Campus. So I scheduled a meeting with Dr. Troy Gifford. And we became friends, and he's the head of the music department at Valencia. And back in Brazil, I never thought about studying music because it's so hard to get into the very good schools. And in Brazil, it's kind of elite thing. Like only if you're really rich, you're able to get a nice job in music or to study music. If you're not like super rich and already plays the violin when you're 9, for example, it doesn't make sense to study music in Brazil. And I started questioning people like, oh, should I study music? Should I study music? And I remember people from Brazil, friends of mine, and people that I knew told me, no, that's a waste of time, man. Don't do that. You know, if you're already in the United States, do something else, you know? And I was like, no, I wanna do music. It makes sense to me. I'm not playing in bands. I should be doing something in music. So that's where I started. I started my associate in arts in Valencia in music. Eventually, I got my degree there, transferred to Rollins, and now I'm Rollins. And I don't know, man. I like this country. I feel like it's
Me too.
people here. Since I got here, like I've been very privileged to be able to meet very nice people, to live in a very nice state. I love traveling around the country. So, and I have my brothers here, so
Sure.
yeah, I
I'm
cannot complain.
Yeah, no, I imagine being in Florida and Orlando. I mean, there's definitely a big Brazilian population here, as well as, I mean, a lot of Latinos in particular throughout Florida. But I know there are quite a few Brazilians in the area here, so I'm sure it's a little bit easier of a transition.
Definitely. I didn't feel any difficulties with the transition. I had, as I said, like since I was very privileged to have my brother already
Sure,
living here.
that helps. That helps, I'm sure.
It does, yeah.
You were talking about studying music. Did you know any like music theory, or before coming and studying, or was that?
Yeah, so when I was 15, I joined a music program in Brazil for electric guitar. So at that time, I started learning a little bit of harmony, but it was more focused on technique. The guy that was my teacher is Marcelo Alfonsi. He's one of the greatest guitarists in the state of Sao Paulo. He's amazing. He works with really good musicians there, and I had classes with him. I remember I was able to pay for only a year of classes with him, but he gave me so much material that it was crazy. Like I had a binder of stuff that he gave me, and it was this thick, like of material that he gave me throughout this year.
I'm sorry.
And
What did you say his name was?
Marcelo
Marcelo
Alfonsi.
Alphonse. Oh, it sounds a little familiar. I think I was thinking of somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Marcos. I was thinking of another guy. I can't really even pronounce his name, but but yeah, that name does sound vaguely familiar as well. But that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm always sharing his stuff, so you may see him on my Facebook.
I probably saw it from your profile then. That's probably
Yeah,
where it was.
but I will send you some links. He's amazing. He has his own band there, and he's always posting stuff online. And so I learned a little bit of theory with him. But when I was 19, I wanted to get deeper into music theory, and especially classical music. That's something that I always liked as well. And so I got the violin. The same uncle that gave me my first guitar, he gave me his violin. He never played the violin, but he had the violin there. So I looked for a professor, and I found this lady that she became my friend too. Like we became really close friends. Her name is Poliana Heinz. She's a German related music professor there, and she's amazing. She put up together like bands of her students. So that's where I started playing the violin with ensemble as well. So with her, I started learning how to read scores, how to write scores, music theory in general.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I know certainly one of the things when we first started meeting was just talking about all our various influences, and it always struck me how open you were to trying different things, and I felt like we were very much kindred spirits in that way. When you join an established band like Vertebreaker, for example, like a band that already has records, do you find it do you find it difficult to learn stuff that people had already recorded, or does that somehow inform some of the music you write, or what was sort of your process in terms of kind of getting used to being in this band, and as well as presenting stuff to the rest of the band, and how has that been going so far?
So that depends a lot. In case of Vertebreaker, one thing that struck me the most was the sound was great.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got the guitar to learn the music, I realized how genius the riffs and everything was too. I was impressed, like how the other guys that wrote the stuff really thought about the music and the guitar playing of it. So usually, depending on the band I join, I try to put myself more into the guitar whenever I don't like as much as the original.
Mm-hmm.
But in case of Vertebreaker, I try to do as close to the records as possible because I really like the guitar parts. So to me, it was a little hard in the beginning to really get the nuances of the guitar
Mm-hmm.
because the riffs, they're not so hard to learn, but the sounding is very particular.
Sure.
And that was something that I really enjoy. And I remember when I played with Ryan that day on the Palm Coast, talking to him was very fun because I was able to ask him some of the stuff that he wrote for Vertebreaker, and he was very happy to share that with me. And I like that. I like this exchange of things. I think we learn a lot from it. And as I told you as I told you before, for Vertebreaker, I was a fan first.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like learning the stuff that you guys already wrote.
Yeah, I mean, and we've been very lucky. Not many people realize this, but we've been lucky to have the guys who came before, who I'm still very friendly with, who have been very helpful as far as teaching yourself and Derek and some of the parts. Ryan and Greg Summers, and I know. And even though I don't think I've introduced you, the guy who played the lead on our original EP was a guy named Jake Olson. He's a great guy too. I talked to him quite a bit. So we're very lucky to have the members, past and present, are all cool with each other. And I know that you've been sending me a lot of your original stuff and original ideas, and I've really liked the direction that they've been going, or that we would be going with those. So one of the things I'm looking forward to the most, once things kind of calm down, is getting back with you and the guys and starting to write some more. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really anxious to start just writing as much new stuff as possible, and we've been exchanging ideas back and forth quite a bit. One of the things I wanted to ask you before we move on to some of the other bands was, in terms of playing on stage, how do you feel about performing live and getting out in front of people? Is that do you prefer being in the studio or composition or live performance, or is it all just part of the same thing?
I like both parts. They're very different. I feel like the studio part is the hard work. The stage is the fun. Is the fun part. Going on the stage to me has always to be light. Has always to be something that you enjoy doing it. So to me it's always important to be very tight with rehearsals, with practice, so we don't have to worry as much on the stage. We can go on stage and have fun, because people that are watching the bands, they will feel if you're tense, if you're not as comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I feel that affects the performance. The stage to me is the stuff that I need. It's the drug that we need to drink from it. The rehearsals are fun too. Whenever we get together, it's great. But the stage has a different energy.
Absolutely, and I know we only played out a handful of times before COVID hit back in March, but I could tell from the get-go that you were very comfortable on stage and definitely like to perform a little bit, and I think the crowds there have definitely responded to it so far. So I definitely can't wait till we do that again. Definitely. But one of the things that has been cool for us to work on is that, in addition to Vertebreaker, I also told you about this other project that I'm involved with, Mature Musical Pictures, which is something that I was introduced to me by a friend of ours, Regis Lima. He knew Bryant, the lead singer for that. And that band kind of got together because Bryant had already recorded an album's worth of material himself, but was looking for a live band to play out and to build a band around all this material that he had. And so Regis, got him in touch with me, and we talked a little bit about it, and they wanted me to play bass. And basically, he was looking for other guys in Orlando that already were in established bands. And originally, the lead guitar player that he had picked was a guy named Josh Lyons from the band Filth. Now, when things didn't end up working out with Josh, because I think Josh was just too busy with his own band, he wasn't available, I went up to Bryant and I said, like, hey, do you mind if I ask one of my guys that's already with me in Vertebreaker? And he didn't have a problem with it. And you came in and just immediately learned those songs and blew everyone away. And so we are in 2 bands together now.
Pretty much, yeah. And it was funny the day we, for those who don't know, we just released a video clip from one of the Mature Music Pictures singles, and the feedback has been quite good.
It has, yeah. As we record this, we're just recording this a couple days after Mature Musical Pictures released its video for a song called My Own Life, and like you said, Felipe, a lot of good feedback so far, and it's definitely been a first for me, the first music video that I've ever been in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and you told me it was your first, so it's definitely cool that we got to experience that together, and we got to shoot that. I want to say in August or September.
Yeah, I think it was September.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is it was funny that I forgot her name, but the girl that was doing makeups for her,
yes,
for us, she told I don't remember, she told Brian or something that she asked him if we played together, me and you, because she felt the connection that we had on playing together,
Yeah.
And it's fun. There's something I live for. A professor once told me, like, life is too short to make music with people you don't like.
Yeah.
And I take that. I never try to exchange friendships over music or anything like that. To me, I feel if you can combine those 2 things, it's the best thing. If you can make friends with the people you're playing with, or if you can make music with your friends, it's the best thing. Because you have fun.
Absolutely. I mean, I've said this for years. I don't care if someone's the best player in the world. If they're a jerk, I don't want to ride on a tour bus with them or play gigs with them, It's not worth it.
Not worth it.
But that's not a problem for us. And yeah, I can see why she would have asked that, because we were often in the same frame, whenever they had shots, so we'd play together. And so, I mean, the chemistry is there, and certainly between us, but also with Steve and Dean and Bryant, who are in the band as well. So that's been a real positive experience, to be able to contribute to this other band where our roles are a little bit different, but it's definitely good music, and who knows, maybe we might write some stuff with Bryant one of these days, if that ever happens, who knows. But either way, we're having a lot of fun.
Definitely.
And then I know through Bryant, you met our buddy Regis, who is a fellow Brazilian as well, and he and his band VOXX, he was looking to do sort of a similar thing that Bryant was, where he had his studio recordings, but he wanted to build a live band. And as I understand it, you've been doing some work with him lately, and I think you're officially in VOXX now as well, aren't you?
Exactly.
When do you sleep?
So. Don't tell that to my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm joking. So, he told me, Regis and I, as well as me and you, as well as me and Brian, we clicked. Right the first time we met, I talked to him, and he's super nice guy. It was the concert we did on Shovelhead.
Yes, he came up and sang with Mature Musical Pictures.
Yeah, so that day we hang out. My brother was there too, so it was funny because my mom was there too, and even Regis got to talk a little bit with my mom because they are from the same city in Brazil,
Oh, no
Santos.
kidding.
Yeah. So, well, we clicked, and a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago, it was. Very recently, he texted me to see if I was available, if I wanted to do some work with him. Um, and I was like, yeah, man, I'd love to play your stuff with you. But let me talk with my buddies, with Jack and Brian, to see if they're cool with it, because I don't want to be putting anything on the line, because
Sure,
of that.
sure.
So, but you guys were great, of course, about it.
Well, yeah,
And
and that's also a testament to your ability to learn material quickly. Where I think some guys, require more energy into a particular project, and not that you're not putting energy into my band or Bryant's band or Regis's, but I mean, you have that ability where you can learn songs quickly. You can, you're professional. You show up. You do what you need to do, and it works out. That's why a lot of guys want to work with you. So it makes all the sense in the world to me.
thank you. Yeah. Let's see. For now, it's not being nothing overwhelmed. Let's see when the things started to picking up. Because so far, for now, it's easy.
Yeah, well, I mean, right
we're
now,
not doing anything.
yeah, right now, no one's doing much of anything. I mean, some people are, but and we had even talked about that Linkin Park tribute band that I was starting with Regis. So it's that might be something we work together in as well. But I mean, overall, it's been it's probably been about a year since we met and since we started playing together, and I'm definitely looking forward to the future. And certainly, I'm glad to have you in the band, and I feel like with you, me, Derek, Herman, and Rob, I feel like we have a really good chemistry right now.
I'm sorry. I feel like we need to give them a shout out because they're great.
Absolutely.
I'm very glad for the. I don't know the VOXX guys yet so much. I just know Regis and Sterling. That's the drummer.
Yeah.
Such a good drummer. But all the other guys. That's why I say, like, since I got here, I had the privilege of meeting and working with very nice people. So that's why I love it here so much.
Yeah.
You sing amazing. Your songs are amazing. I'm very glad
bro.
to work with you.
Yeah.
Rob can write a song per minute. He's crazy. Like, he's always sending us stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
I even lost track of how many projects he already sent us. Like,
Sure.
there's so many.
Well, and that's a great problem to have, because I know
Of course.
when we get together and meet up in person, we're going to have a lot of different song ideas to draw from, and so I'm excited. Yeah, and then I mean, obviously you and Derek, you and Derek have played together very well, which is really important for the two guitar players to have some chemistry.
Yeah, Derek's an amazing guy. He's very creative. I love his stuff, the stuff that he's always putting out too. Rob is a great player too. Herman's a hell of a drummer too.
I mean,
it's crazy.
what more can you say? He plays like a beast, and
Jesus, yeah.
And just even the energy, like when we get on stage, it's different even in practice.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with Herman, like he'll be like the quietest guy, but when we get on stage, he's going off, and it's exactly. I love that.
I remember when you talked to Rob here in the Phoenix report. I remember Rob said, like, "Oh yeah, Herman is such a chill guy, but when he goes on behind the drums, like, yeah, he demolishes everything." Like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's absolutely true, and yeah, we have a good thing going with Mature Musical Pictures as well. Bryant is a great guy. Steve and Dean are just great guys and great players.
Great guys. Steven's songs are amazing. They just released an album, and I'm very, I'm already a fan of him. Like, he's amazing. Dean, he can play too. He's great, and Brian's, he very creative. He can play the guitar. he can sing, you know, like where all those talent people come from, you know?
But I mean, it's kind of cool that we're kind of building our own sort of extended family, an extended network, and I think there's strength in numbers when it comes to musicians out there and bands that are connected in one way or another, and I think it's going to be really great once things open up and once we're able to play shows again, no matter which band we're playing with.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely a good problem to have, but yeah, I mean, and going back to what we were talking about before, I know you're open to so many different styles of music. I know we've talked about, you know, bands like you said, bands from the '60s and through the '70s, '80s, '90s, you know, and so on and so forth. I like the fact that we're not limited to one thing. And I feel like it's very easy to get limited to one particular sound, and that's what makes me excited for the future, because I think there's a lot of stuff that we've written so far and stuff that we have yet to write that I think will be exciting. So yeah, I mean the future is looking very bright.
Definitely. I always love to learn new stuff. And rock in particular, I feel like it's one of the most evolving style that like recent music was able to provide us. I don't have anything against any other music style.
Sure,
I
yeah.
actually listen to everything. Sometimes you may see me listening to hip hop or to pop rock or to pop music. I don't care if it's good to my ears. I will listen to it. But rock and roll and heavy metal has this ability of evolving. That's so crazy. I used to, back when I was 13, 14, I used to be able to name every single subgroup of heavy metal, of rock and roll. Nowadays, it's impossible. There's so many and so some of them you can even name it. There's no styles. There's no music styles for it, you know. So I feel that's great. And I wouldn't be able to name a subgroup for Mature Music Pictures or for Vertebreaker, you know. It's just good. To me, it's just good.
We're just rock and roll, you know.
Exactly.
And that's what I love about it. I know with your approach to playing lead guitar, you have a very diverse way of playing, because you can go very fast and very technical and like shreddy, but you could also be a very melodic player. And I like that mixture, because sometimes a song will call for, even if it's like holding out one note, but you put enough feeling into it, then that's what people connect with. Like sometimes, you know, some of my favorite solos are solos that people can sing along to, weirdly enough. But but also when it comes time to really like, you know, pull off some pyrotechnics, I know you're more than capable of that.
Thank you. I feel that the hardest types of solos to write are the melodic ones. To write a good melody that people will relate to me, in my opinion, is the hardest thing to do. You know, going up and down scales and shredding, it's something that once you learn, it's a tool that you can use anytime. But learning how to use it in a proper way is the hardest thing to do, you know, because in my opinion, the melody is everything. So if you're able to put just shred and everything, if you just put shred and everything, it's not as interesting as if you can mix melody with shred. And you know, like the last week we lost one of the geniuses in that, like Eddie Van Halen was able to do crazy stuff, but keep a very good melodic sense in his solos. And I remember listening to his stuff when I was starting to play the electric guitar, and that blew me. You know, I don't feel like any guitarist from today's that play rock can say that Eddie Van Halen was one of the best inspirations for them. You know,
absolutely.
He was in another level of playing, of creation, of creativity, and everything. And if I can say that I want to be like someone one day, I said I would love to be a little bit like him, you know, be able to do a little bit that he did.
Eddie was a lot of things. I mean, he was not just an incredibly technical player, but such a great songwriter as well. And and that's the cool thing, because much like Eddie Van Halen, he came to America when he was very young. I mean, you were a little bit older when you came here, but I mean, in a way, you know, you're someone who came to this country and is really sort of exemplifying the American dream. And I think much like Eddie, you're sort of following in those footsteps. So,
Thank you.
You know, in a way, I definitely see a connection there. So it's definitely not a bad role model to have.
Oh hell yeah, he's amazing to me.
Who were some of your other favorite guitar players, if you had to name a few? I mean, I know you mentioned Clapton before.
Yeah, Clapton was one of my first inspirations. I remember listening to songs like Layla, Wonderful Tonight, those old romantic tunes, and I was like, oh, this guitar is like the best thing ever. And then I really got into Aerosmith when I was 8, 9. Oh, yeah. So Joe Perry played a big part in my guitar playing as well. When I started getting older, I was really into some technical heavy metal, and so I really got into Vinnie Moore. When it comes to bands in general, I was very into Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. I was never able to like as much as I should jazz. Yeah. And other music styles that use the guitar a lot too. I was never very into jazz. When I started studying music here in the United States, I started getting a little bit of it. Like Pat Metheny nowadays is one of the guys I listen to the most. But when I was younger, when I was started learning, I wanted to shred like crazy. Yeah. Ian Malmsteen, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, those guys were an influence to me as well.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool, man. I mean, definitely those are all just amazing players, and and you know, you have your own way of playing. You don't necessarily to try and copy one thing. You just kind of bring your own feel to it, and that's what I love.
Well, thank you.
This has been cool, man. I'm so glad to have you on here as a way to sort of introduce you to people who might not have been familiar with you before. You know, I think as time goes on, as our bands, both of them get out there, and certainly as you get out with VOXX as well, I think people are definitely gonna know who you are. So it's I'm excited about it, and I'm looking forward to when we can get together again and when we can play.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Jack. Thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Anytime, man. Where can people find you and your music online? You know, do you have anything on social media that you're able to post?
Yes. I like writing music a lot since I started playing the guitar. I always wrote my own stuff, and I love writing instrumentals. So for people that like instrumentals with a lot of guitar, you can find my stuff on YouTube and SoundCloud. You just have to look for my name, Felipe Gardina. I have over 40 tunes posted in both channels. I have some covers as well, some versions I like to do. Sometimes when I want to study something, I was trying to play, for example, Schubert in the guitar the other day. It doesn't sound as good as I was expecting it, but I will try to work with that eventually. So you can find some stuff that are not exactly my originals, but you can find it there as well.
Good stuff, man. Yeah. And I know you're at Felipe Gardina on Instagram as well.
Yeah.
So very cool. I'll be posting all your links here in the comments here. But
Thank you,
thanks for coming on here and doing this.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks once again to my buddy Felipe Gardina. Incredible guitar player, great guy, just an absolute dream to work with. I'm really glad to have him in not one but two bands now, and I know he works with plenty of other people as well. So check him out in both our bands, Vertebreaker and Mature Musical Pictures, and he's also the guitar player for VOXX. They're an incredible band as well. As far as where you can find us, for Vertebreaker, you can find us on Facebook.com/VertebrakerBand. You can find Mature Musical Pictures at maturemusicalpictures.com, and you can find VOXX at VOXX Official. That's VOXX Official.com. As far as Felipe himself, you can follow him on Instagram at Felipe Gardina, and you could check out some of his instrumental demos. I posted some links to those in the description, but just look for Felipe Gardina on YouTube and SoundCloud, and you'll find some of his stuff. And you can always follow me on Twitter and Instagram at jackxconnor. You can like me on Facebook at facebook.com/jackconnormusic. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, make sure you leave a comment or email me at jackconnorpodcast at jackconnorpodcast@gmail.com. You can tweet me with the hashtag Phoenix Report. If you're listening to this on YouTube or iTunes or Spreaker or wherever you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, hit the thumbs up, and go back and listen to all the other episodes. Thank you very much, as always, for tuning into the Phoenix Report. This is Jack Connor. I'll see you later. Rock on.